Hello and good day everyone. I am Subere from BSECE-3A, and in this video, I am going to briefly discuss to you the three terms passive optical network, active devices, and submarine cable. So, without further ado, let's proceed to the first term, passive optical network or PON. So, PON is a fiber optic distribution network with no active components between the switching point and the customer. So you can see here the passive optical network wherein we have the OLT or the optical line terminal, which is the starting point for the passive optical network. The primary function of the OLT is to convert, frame, and transmit signals for the PON network. And you can also see here the ONT or the optical network terminal, which converts optical signals transmitted via fibers to electrical signals. These electrical signals are then sent to individual subscribers. So you can see here that we have A, B, C, and D, and V, wherein those that are A to D are data or voice, and V here is for video. And you can see here in the passive optical network that we are using a passive optical splitter which splits the data to be distributed into the ONTs. And you can also see here what an active optical network looks like. So, the key difference between the active and passive optical network is how the signal is split between the multiple fibers going to each customer. PON uses optical splitters which require no electrical power to send the signal to each customer. So, each customer also receives signals intended for someone else. So, encryption ensures privacy is maintained, while an AON use active electrically powered devices to direct the appropriate signal only to the relevant user. So as you can see that the data here, once it reached the passive optical splitter, the the data are the same for all for all that passed through a certain splitter. But in the case of the active optical network, the data intended for that user is only sent to that user. So let us proceed to the second term, which is active devices. So an active device is a device that requires a source of energy for its operation and has an output that is a function of present and past input signals. So, in order for a circuit to be properly called electronic, it must contain at least one active device. So here are some examples of active devices. We have the transistors. So transistors are considered as active devices because they are able to amplify the power of a signal. And we also have here amplifiers, and we have integrated circuits. So it is also considered an active device because it is just an assembly of electronic components with miniature devices. So we also have the silicon controlled rectifiers. So the silicon controlled rectifiers required a trigger signal or a signal that is applied to the gate that will turn on the silicon-controlled rectifier to pass current through. And the signal that is required to trigger the gate is only a small signal. So, it can pass more energy out than was put into from the signal. So, the output is greater than the input or the trigger signal applied to the SCR. So, we can just say that the output is greater than the input. Okay, so as opposed to the active device, we have passive device. So it is any device that does not require a source of energy for its operation. So examples are resistors, because resistors do not control the current flowing through a circuit, but resistors only limit the current. And we also have the capacitors. So we all know that capacitors can store can store voltage in it. And we also have inductors. So it is considered a passive device because it can store energy in it as a magnetic field and can deliver that energy to the circuit. So we also have the optical fiber, cables, and wires, and they are all considered passive devices because they only transmit signals. So, how do we know if it is an active or passive device or components? So, an active device deliver power or energy to the circuit, while a passive device utilizes power or energy from the circuit. An active device provides energy in the form of voltage or current, while a passive device stores energy in the form of voltage or current. An active device is capable of providing power gain. On the other hand, a passive device is incapable of providing power gain. Uh, An active device can control the flow of the current, while a passive device cannot control the flow of current. So, active components are energy donor and passive components are energy acceptor. So, let us now proceed to the third term, submarine cable. So, a submarine cable is a cable laid beneath the sea to carry communication between countries. So it is also called undersea cable, which means that it is under the sea, or transoceanic cable, which means that it crosses the ocean. So the first submarine communications cables carried telegraphy traffic. Subsequent generations of cables carried first telephony traffic, then data communications traffic. All modern cables use optical fiber technology to carry digital payloads, which are then used to carry telephone traffic as well as internet and private data traffic. So, they are typically 69 millimeters or 2.7 inches in diameter and weigh around 10 kilograms per meter or 7 pounds per feet. Although thinner and lighter cables are used for deep water sections. So, let us now take a look at the structure of a submarine cable. So, as you can see in the illustration that it is labeled from 1 to 8. So, the one which is labeled as number 1 is polyethylene, and 2 is a mylar tape, 3 are stranded steel wires, 4 is aluminum water barrier. 5 is a polycarbonate. 6 is a copper or aluminum tube. 7 is a petroleum jelly. And 8 are optical fibers. So let us take a look at this quote. The internet is not up in the clouds, but under the oceans. Because approximately 99% of international data is transmitted by submarine communications cable. Wow. So, submarine versus satellite communications. So, submarine communications are cheaper and transmit information at a faster rate than the satellite communication. While satellites simply do not have the capacity to support so much traffic. So, sometimes satellite communication are used for military purposes, such as in remote places where it is it is difficult to use mobile phones for communication, and usually they only use walkie-talkies. So, that would be all for this video, and thank you for watching. See you next time.